Hey, dude, it's your boy Nextstop Sirchcity. Welcome back to another episode of the Food We Watch podcast. Now, I just want to apologize. I know last week we didn't have an episode, but it was a lot going on. We need a little break. I know you guys will understand. But we are back. And as we know, congratulations again to the winner of the Master Chef season 13, which was Grant. That was our last episode that we shot. We are on episode 29 of the Food We Love podcast, guys. We've been doing this for 29 whole episodes. I don't know what's about y'all, but that's a lot. Thank you to the ones who've been tuning in. Definitely going to have to plan something for episode 50. That is definitely a big milestone. 50 episodes. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. But again, thank you guys for tuning in each and every week, sharing, commenting. It's much appreciative. We're definitely trying to grow this platform, do something unique, something a little different. And we're just trying to spread the word to get as many eyes on this as possible. Now, if you watched the last episode, then you know we are going to review something different. We've been doing a lot of Gordon Ramsay shows, and we wanted to diversify our portfolio. So, what we are doing, and I just realized, well, you know what? We did. What we're doing this week is, or for the next few weeks, is Drink Masters. It's a Netflix show. They have one season, but that season was so good that we decided we wanted to review it. Now, even if you have gone and seen this, because I believe it came out in about 2020, 2021. If you have seen this already, hey, then we could take another walk down memory lane and watch it again. I know I've watched it, but going back and watching episode 1, I forgot almost everything that happened in episode 1. So let's go back. Let's review. Again, we're doing Drink Masters, a Netflix series. It was hosted by Tone Bell, comedian Tone Bell, actor Tone Bell. And then we also have the judges, which is Frank Solaric, and we have Julie Reiner. Now, again, this show is based around alcoholic drinks. Um, Not just your ordinary Long Island iced tea. This is a competition where some of the best mixologists in the world came out to display their techniques, their creativity, and put their craft on notice to let you know that the mixologist has something to say. So let's get into the contestants. We have, and I'm going to butcher some of these names. I do apologize ahead of time. But we do have Ashling Gamble from Boise, Idaho. We have Alex Velez from Las Vegas, Nevada. We have Christian Suzuki, and he's from San Fran. We have Capri Robinson from DC. What up, DC? We have Kate Gerwin from Albuquerque, New Mexico. We have Lauren LP Paler O'Brien. I hope I got that right. She's also from the DC area. We have Lloyd Von Rose from Montreal, Meredith Berry from St. Louis, Michael Anderson from Pittsburgh, PA. What up, PA? We have Natalie. All right, now. Migla. Again, I have not reviewed these names. I wrote them down. I did not go through these names. We have Natalie from New York. We have Raj Shukla from Fort Wayne, Indiana. We have Tao from Montreal. That rounds out the contestants starting this competition. Now, again, each week they're going to have different themes they have to go and portray in their drink. This will go on for, I believe this is about 8 to 10 episodes, but the winner of the competition wins $100,000. Now, if I knew as a child that you would be able to grow up and win $100,000 by mixing drinks, probably would have chose a different profession. Definitely would have been on it as a bartender. But at any rate, let's get into the episode. The theme this week was a margarita. First week, first competition, they had to create a margarita. Now we have the generic margarita, which is that has components of tequila, lime, and whatever a margarita comes with. But their job was to elevate a margarita, but it had to have the rooted components in the traditional margarita. They would be judged on taste, appearance, and creativity. Um, Now, starting off the competition, fun fact, mixologists normally use notebooks or notepads to map out their books or drinks. I'm sorry. I didn't know this. I'm not really into the mixology world, but they were, and I get it because there's a lot to go in. If you watch this show, or if you're a mixologist, you know, if you've been at the bar and you've seen them really elevate that drink, there's a lot of components that goes into it, and you really don't want to miss something because one wrong move could actually mess up the whole drink. Off the gate, Michael and Kate argue because Michael stole an idol from her basket. So off rip, it was a little wild. It was like, you know what? I need this. I forgot what he was looking for. I think it was a liqueur or an orange. And he yelled out, "Does anyone have it?" And I guess he went to her basket and stole it. Um, hey, he trying to win off rip. So the basic structure of a margarita, I'm reading it now, is a tequila, lime, and orange liqueur. So that's the basis of what a tequila is. Of a margarita is made out of, and that's what they had to base their drinks around. Um, Now, right off the gate, you have Tao. You had a couple personalities or mixologists that stood out. Tao off rip came across as overconfident, but he wasn't really cocky. It's like he knew and he knows what he wants to do in a drink. And it can come off when you know your stuff. Sometimes people will look at it as cocky. I didn't get the cocky feeling from him, but I did get that he was really confident of his skills and he knew what he wanted to do. Um, Meredith stood out to me. She was kind of quirky and fun, although she was kind of all over the place. Hopefully, this doesn't hurt her in future competitions. Just watching a lot of food, drink competition shows over the years, you notice that sometimes those people that don't really have a set structure on what they really want to do tend to be the ones that are kind of wild and crazy and kind of it can help them because it pushes their creativity, or it can harm them because they're so all over the place that they don't really grasp the idea of the competition and end up not doing what what they were supposed to do during the competition. Now, there were a few people that were making my favorite, which were Jello shots. I saw some great ideas for Jello shots. Normally, you see the traditional, oh, it's in the shot glass. You may see layered shots, but I've seen a lot of different techniques to Jello shots. You had some that made it look like they were a fruit, so they actually poured the gelatin into the peeling of an orange or a lime and then let it set, and then you cut it, and it looks like a lime. So they were doing a lot of good things. I think it was LP, Kate, Capri, and Alex who made Jello shots. Now, one interesting fact: Capri used, I believe it's called agar. I've never heard of this, but it's a plant-based gelatin. That's something I'm going to look into because I know we have a food shoot coming up for Jello shots, and I'm really big on the healthier tip nowadays. So that's something I got to look into. Let me know in the comments if you ever use agar to create gelatin or create Jello shots. Let me know how your experience was. Let me know if you liked it. All right. Now, one thing that stood out to me during the competition, and I don't know about you guys, but this vegetable is not really one that I like to go to. But we had Lloyd who decided to make some kind of beet roll up, which is like a fruit roll up. If you know, growing up as a kid, we love those fruit roll ups or a fruit by the foot. I never heard of anybody using beets to create some kind of candy. That's just not, to me, it's not really, that's not, something I would do. But you know what? I was praying that it turned out good. Could be something new that he's starting. but beet roll up, kind of to me seemed like he was going further and further away from what the actual margarita should be, which is what he should be focusing on for the margarita. Capri had a great idea. Hopefully, it turns out good, of deconstructing the margarita, which is basically taking the elements, elevating them, but putting them in a way where it can actually tell the story just by going to different parts of the drink and then forming the actual margarita. So I thought that was pretty cool, pretty bold for the first season, first episode, and first competition. Now, Alex, off rip, Alex is a lot. Alex is super cocky, well, I'm gonna say cocky, super confident, and he was doing a lot for his margarita. Excuse me, guys. I'm a little parched, so just bear with me 1 second. People, drink your water. From the mouth of Tony Baker, the comedian, you need that water. Shout out Tony Baker. I have my water. Now, Alex, he was creating the margarita, but he was doing it in like 3 sections. He was going to create an experience using air. He was going to do an experience using Jello, and then the third experience will be carbonation. Again, elevation does not mean complication. To me, sometimes people complicate things. We've seen it in past competitions. There's so many different ways to flavor palette, to color, to just so many different ways. And I feel like maybe he should have chose maybe like 1 or 2 different ways. But they had 90 minutes. They had 90 minutes to complete the competition. Hopefully his idea, was executed the way he wanted. Now 15 minutes to go, and you just see everybody rushing to just start to put together the drink. So it was a lot going on. People were cooking things, making bitters, and it was just a lot going on during this competition. So I suggest, before watching our podcast, you really go and watch these seasons, because it's amazing what they do. The turnout, even some of the ones where the judges may not have liked them that much, it's just the creativity, something I never would have thought to do to a traditional margarita. They were doing, they were using dry ice, something I really want to get into. It was so fun to watch them create. I think I had more fun watching them create these drinks than I normally do watching a food competition. And there's not a lot of drink competitions out there. I'm hoping, by the grace of God, they bring this show back for a season 2. Last time I checked, they canceled the show. But to me, this was a good show. Like, it was really fun to just sit there and create. They would create garden themes around the drinks and things like that. So this was a good show to watch. Now, going into the judging round, Kate was the first one up. I cannot pronounce Oaxacan. I forgot how she pronounced it. Therefore, I'm not going to say it. But she used whatever that was on top of her elevated Jello shot. Well, yeah. So she created it was a certain way. Let me know in the comments if you know what this is. I'm going to try to say owls can. I don't know. But then she had an elevated orange Jello shot, which was so dope. She used reposado tequila, clementines, oranges, and limes. And then she used a smoked salt with a foam. She had foam around it. And then she used a 5-spiced syrup. The judges' reaction was they thought it was a delicious cocktail, beautiful, variation of a margarita. It was delicious, so they did enjoy her drink. Then we have Suzuki. I pronounced his name earlier. The nickname is Suzu. He had the bonsai, and he created a margarita that was more like tea. It had hints of tea in it, and then the delivery, he had it on a plate, and he had a bonsai garden around it. So it was definitely well put together. The judges thought the drink was very nice, very clean, and very delicious. They noticed the hint of tea immediately. It was so good that it was to the point where they wanted to drink the whole thing. That's what um Julie said. She's like, this is just, it was refreshing. Normally margaritas are more like, frozen and juice, and this was more on the light and airy side and was very refreshing to the point that she did not want to stop drinking it. Next, we have Meredith. The drink that she created was called the Fellowship. She used saffron infused Reposado tequila. Never heard of it. I would like to try it. And Moscow, she used a chili saffron ice whip. So it was a little different. Nothing that I've ever tasted, but the judges very much liked it. So they said it was very refreshing, reminiscence of a margarita. So it had the true components of a margarita, enhanced with the saffron infused tequila, and the presentation was very on point. Again, guys, if you can, please go back and watch episode 1. Watch this with us, because I can only tell you the names of these things. These drinks, as far as presentation, were out of this world. So I definitely recommend you go back and watch this with us. Next up was Lloyd. It didn't really get into what the name of his drink was. I don't even know. But as we know, this is the person who created the beet roll up. They said they enjoyed the margarita part of his presentation, but they felt like the beats were a little far-fetched, not really something you would get with a margarita. So they felt like that component shouldn't have been on his drink platter. But overall, they did enjoy the taste of his margarita. All right, next up we have Michael. His drink was called the Looking Glass. Now, he may not have created a beet roll up, but he did use beet juice and orange juice served with agave. So he created the classic margarita and infused it with the beet juice and with some agave. Um, and he pretty much got the same response from the judges. They needed more reference of the original margarita. They said it was okay, it was good, but it didn't have that traditional margarita rooted feel to it. Again, guys, I've never heard anybody using beets in any kind of drink. So, lesson learned, guys. If you're in a drinking competition and you have beets, do not use the beets. Unless you're using Beats by Dre to listen to music while you're creating your drink, do not use beets. All right. Now, next up, we have Natalie. She created the sunshine on a cloudy day. She used a poro, tequila, and strawberry simple syrup. Now, visually, she probably had one of the prettiest drinks that was on display, but the judges felt as though it was not as creative as they would like. Now, a little bit of background on Natalie. I do believe she is a online mixologist, so not didn't really go to school for it. She does a lot of drinks online. So even just reading the ingredients for the most part of her dish, just a poro, tequila, and strawberry simple syrup, does sound a little simple. So though they thought her drink looked good, it was just something that they would get as a basic margarita. Next, we have LP, which is one of my favorites. It's called Beyond Glass Ceilings. She used tequila, some house-made pineapple nogave syrup, and then she also created a Jello shot. Now, the judges believe that she created a beautiful presentation and a beautiful experience. A pleasant bitterness to the Jello shot that tied in to the feeling of a margarita. So her whole dish, didn't have all the components together, but due to the fact that with the drink and then when you had a Jello shot and it had like that bitterness, kind of like that lime taste, they enjoyed it. They truly believe she elevated the way you can drink a margarita. Next, we have some drama. Okay. Next, we have Alex. He called his drink the three-way Margo. Now, again, this is the one where he did 3 different ways to intake the margarita. One being air, second being carbonation, and the third is jelly formed. And the carbonation, I believe it was the carbonation one. He anchored with dry ice. Now, if you're not familiar with dry ice, and I'm not an expert, let me just preface by saying that I am not an expert of dry ice, but I do know if you consume even the smallest grain of dry ice, because normally dry ice, when you like when you have it in a drink, it's supposed to be all the way dissolved. If it's not all the way dissolved and you consume that, you could die. Even the littlest piece can get into your system and put toxins in you, and you will die. When he anchored the dry ice, he said, "Oh, there's a procedure, there's a technique that I know where you anchor the dry ice." And they were like, "What?" And they didn't drink it. It was like, "Look, I don't know what technique this is, but for safety reasons, if you're anchoring dry ice, there's a possibility it has not fully dissolved. So if I drink this drink, I could literally die." So due to that fact, they didn't taste any part of his drink. So again, we've been saying it ever since we started this podcast. Sometimes elevation does not mean complication. Sometimes even when you're elevating something, less can be more. I would not have anchored dry ice the first competition. I don't care if I really know how to do it, and this is like something that I've trained to do. We're not messing around with dry ice. I still have not used dry ice in my food and drinks because I'm still learning about dry ice. I'm doing research about dry ice, how it's supposed to be used. We see it a lot on IG and TikTok, people infusing the dry ice. And I am the type of person where I definitely want to do it. But if I'm going to serve this to someone, I want to make sure that I know all the safety precautions because that's not something to play with. But yep, they didn't taste any of Alex's drinks, whether it was air, carbonated, or jelly. And he was distraught. Sorry, guys, got to get that water in. As soon as I get done shooting this podcast, I am going to the gym. Why? Because I'm trying to get my life together. I'm tired of being out here in these streets, Mr. Unhealthy. But at any rate, next we have Tao. And he did a Japanese and Mexico infusion style margarita. He used sugar snap peas, coconut, and I believe uzi. The judges didn't have the feel. The judges believe he did not have the feel at all of a margarita. They felt like it was very far away. Though it had a good taste to it, it didn't give reminiscence of a margarita. Now, Raj had a great idea. Margarita is of Mexican descent, and one of the snacks you may have with a margarita is chips and salsa. So he used the chips and salsa idea and used those tastes to enhance his margarita. He called it the chips and salsa margarita. The drink was very good. The judges loved the drink. He had a little bit of tomato and things like that to give it that salsa feel, but also had the classic components of a margarita rooted in his drink. The only thing they did not like is the fact of his presentation was lacking. And he really didn't do anything with his presentation. He literally had a cup, and I think he had something on the side. He more so focused on a drink rather than the presentation, which is not bad, I guess, for the first competition. But you really want to find that balance of presentation and the drink. Next, we have Capri, and as we know, she created the deconstructed margarita. She uses sangria, reposado, infused, and an orange peel. She used coriander. And she had a sour watermelon jelly. So she, excuse me, she created this wonderful, story of a margarita, but unfortunately, the story took a turn for the worse because the judges did say it was a great approach to creating a deconstructed margarita, but there was no balance. And they felt that she departed from the actual roots of the margarita. So though she had a great idea, her execution was lacking. And then last but not least, we have Ashling. Um, her drink was called When the Smoke Clears. She had a rapid infused mezcal with gold pomegranate and morel mushrooms. This by far, to me and to the judges, it seems, was the best version of an escalated or elevated margarita. The judges loved the presentation. She has so many beautiful colors. The drink drinks like a margarita. So I had the feel of what you would do when you drink a margarita. They tasted the tequila. The jelly was delicious. It was a very balanced drink. So after all was said and done, after everybody threw their great ideas in the first competition of Drink Masters, there could only be one winner. And this competition is pretty much the same as any competition. You'll have a winner of the competition, and then you'll have the losers, and the losers will face off to stay in the competition. But as we probably already know, even if you haven't seen the episode yet, the winner of the first episode of Drink Masters was Ashling. Drink When the Smoke Clears. And I'm telling you, we were already talking, and some of these drinks that we see, even though it was out of this world and stuff that we haven't done, we will be trying to recreate some of these drink recipes on Normal's Be Chefing. So if you have time, even if you're watching this episode, go to @Normal's Be Chefing on all platforms: YouTube, IG, TikTok, Facebook. We're there. Definitely like, share, and follow these pages because we do have some upcoming drink recipes as well as some brand new food recipes coming up in the weeks to come. So definitely, shameless plug, had to shout that out. But yes, Ashling, When the Smoke Clears, was the winner of the competition. Ashling, this is probably one of the drinks we're going to try to recreate, hopefully, but we'll see. But definitely shout out to you for being the first winner or the first competition winner of Drink Masters. Again, hopefully they have a season 2, hopefully. Now, the people who had to face the elimination round was Alex, who had that 3-way Margot. We had Natalie, who did a margarita with some simple strawberry syrup. And we had Capri, who created a deconstruction of what she thought would be a margarita. It turned out not to be. The elimination round, they had free reign to create whatever they wanted, but they had to make a cocktail using smoke. So they can create whatever kind of cocktail they want, didn't have to follow a rule, but they had to use smoke in conjunction with whatever cocktail that they had to use. Well, they created. And then not only did they have to use smoke, but there were certain smoke techniques each individual was given. So Alex had to do what was it, a cloche. Um, Natalie had to do a smoked glass, and Capri had to use a decanter. So certain ways that you would do it, which is, you would, and I don't know if anybody's ever used a smoker. I have one. I've only used it one time, but you can infuse, he would create the drink, and then he would infuse the smoke, and then once the judges would come, he would lift the thing up and the smoke would evaporate. Natalie, she had to use a glass, so she would actually have the smoke go into the glass, cork it with her drink inside of it, and let that smoke settle into the liquor and give it that nice smoky taste without over smoking it. And I forgot what the decanter was. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. But there was 3 different ways they had to use smoke in the competition. The drinks that were created, Capri, you did the Adonis, which was sherry, vermouth, smoke, cardamom bitters, and smoked cherry wood. Her drink looked delicious. Alex did the stogie, where he used scotch, Amari blend, a little bit of hot sauce, and oak bitters and oak wood smoke. Um, right off the gate, they were a little nervous about the stogie because the stogie is almost like, it's like a cigar. So it was on the warmer side of a cocktail. Normally you serve cocktails cold. The stogie had no ice added, so it'll be room temperature, which means there was no hiding behind the chill of a glass and all that. All the aroma, all the taste would be right there. Natalie created the very special Old Pal. She used cognac, Italian bitter liqueur. She used absinthe spritz, and then she used applewood and peppercorn smoke. By far, that was probably one of the best cocktails I've seen, period. Natalie, you are another one for this round, that is. I definitely want to try to recreate your classic elevated cocktail. And but if you watch the episode, you'll know, even though she had a great idea, the Adonis was banging. I'm not going to lie. And again, there's a lot of drinks that we're probably going to end up recreating that we've seen on this show. Natalie, the stogie just was not my twist. I don't want a warm cocktail. That's just me. If I'm going to have a warm cocktail, just pour me the scotch. Pour the scotch in a glass. I'll drink that by itself. I don't really need all that extra stuff. But unfortunately, even though, again, Natalie had a great idea, it was just poor execution. And unfortunately, Natalie was the first person eliminated from Drink Masters. Now, again, I know this was a lot, and Drink Masters is more so a visual show. I definitely recommend you guys go back and watch this with us so you can get the full presentation of what these guys are doing, because it's unlike the other shows where primarily, yes, you get to see the food, but primarily it was all about the cook, the taste. Where this show is heavily visually eye appealing. It's something you definitely want to go back and see. I can only do so much when explaining these drinks. And again, this is a little different from what we normally do on this podcast. But hey, we didn't want to remain stagnant. We want to diversify. We want to see what other shows is out there. So During this journey, during the next 8 to 10 weeks, again, I advise you to watch Drink Masters. Drink Masters on Netflix. If you have not watched it, it is a great show. It's hosted by Tone Bell, which is one of the funniest comedians in the game right now. And if you are watching this, Tone Bell or Netflix, we want a second season. I know there's a second season out there somewhere, and we want it. But as we all know, this show starts and has an ending. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to another week of the Food We Watch podcast. Please, in the comments below, let us know what other food shows you may want to see. This one is a little short one, so after a few weeks, we'll be moving on to another show. Let us know in the comments what food shows you want to see. Also, let me know if you agree with the winner and the loser of this week's episode of Drink Masters. Now, before we go, you gotta know, we always will let you know. First, what we'll let you know is that if you want to follow me, you'll follow me at Sirchcity on all platforms. And if you don't find me there, you'll find me at Normals Be Chefing. But again, before we go, we have to let you know that good things come and good things go. Yeah, life is like a box of chocolate. Sometimes that shit be melting.